Good morning, everybody. Our next conversation, we talk about a profession where failure can be fatal and zero tolerance at the goal. I'm very, very, very proud to present to you one of the first female pilots to fly an Airbus, an A380, a double-deck 4-engine aircraft, and with more than 500 seats, the world's largest passenger aircraft. Senior First Officer Kerstin Felser from Lufthansa. Kerstin, please come and sit. Bigger applause, please.
Thank you very much.
Have a seat.
Thank you.
Kerstin, Lufthansa has its own very profound failure management system. You start with a tough selection of candidates, you have a high-level training, and permanent data feedback. So can you give us like a little bit of an insight about your failure management system?
Franziska, when we talk about the huge topic failure management within the Lufthansa Group, we have to divide this topic in different aspects. First of all, it all starts with the aspect of selection in Hamburg, where all the applicants have to be and to pass the tests. We are not looking for cowboys in the air. We are looking for for applicants with specific personal qualities. And the second aspect is then our Lufthansa Flight Training School, where we put a big emphasis on failure management and the question how to deal with failures. The third aspect is the transparency in the cockpit. I do have a beautiful view outside of my cockpit, outside the windows, but there are a couple of people who have a very deep view inside the cockpit. Everything, every word is recorded on the flight data recorder or the cockpit voice recorder. Every data is transmitted and recorded in the cockpit flight data recorder. Yes, so that's very different to other jobs I know.
So that's the first analogy. It's a data business. You have the flight recorder and everything is set.
Yeah,
so.
And we train our pilots to stick very much to the standard operating procedure, to learn how to use checklists, to learn how to deal with failures. That's very important for us.
What are you learning in the flight simulator? Because what could you do? What is the training there? It's not that you guide the machine, but it's many other things.
Every pilot with Lufthansa has to pass 4 times a year a simulator test. And during these 4 hours, you have to manage a couple of failures, like bad weather conditions, engine failure, hydraulic failure, but even how to handle and manage the situation of a sick passenger or a loss of a cockpit crew member.
Yeah, right. As the world becomes more and more data-driven and machines are taking over, isn't there the future like you have an autonomous aircraft, like we were talking about Google cars and other cars? So, or better said, what mistakes are there left for a pilot to make?
First of all, I have to say that all the computers and the autopilots are there to support the pilots. The pilots are in the driving seat. They do the final decision. So if they have the feeling of fly manual, because this is the higher degree of safety, he is always in the possibility and the situation to switch off the autopilot and to fly manually. And the computers are there and all the databases to support the pilots. But to bring it on a more practical base, what could be a failure is during the cockpit preparation, when we enter the cockpit and do our cockpit preparation beforehand, before takeoff, we have to enter.
How many people are you on the cockpit? Like I've never allowed to enter. So I think I understood since 9/11, people are not allowed any longer to enter the cockpit. And you are like 2 pilots at a time, I take it?
Yes, the minimum crew is 2 pilots.
Yes.
But on the long-haul flights, the long-range flights, like the A380 is doing the long-range flights, we have 3 pilots in the cockpit.
Yeah, and how do you work together?
So we have a special teamwork. We have, which is very important to emphasize, we have a flat hierarchy. So even, of course, we have a captain. Yeah, he's in command, in charge of the aircraft. But we do have a special teamwork and a flat hierarchy. So even the youngest co-pilot, the youngest first officer, fresh from the pilot school, is able to take over control by saying, "I have control," if he thinks that this is the higher degree of safety.
Right. And if some failure happens, some mistakes happen, could you give an example of a mistake that happens in the cockpit and how you would deal with it?
One example could be when we do our cockpit preparation, we have to enter or to type in the flight route, the routing, the coordinates. Let's say we fly today from Frankfurt to San Francisco, and we have to do by hand manually put the routing inside a flight management system. And of course, this could lead to an error. And this is the reason why there are always 2 pilots in the cockpit, and we check independently if this is the right routing, and so we can cover or prevent mistakes. That's very important for us.
I heard a nice argument from you, like people working together about complacency.
Yeah.
What is that?
I mean, depending on the size of the fleet, most of the time we fly with colleagues we never met before.
Listen carefully. I think that's
we never met before.
That's
so
a good
this
insight for management.
Absolutely. So this prevents us from complacency, because we would like to avoid getting too over-familiar with each other, because this could lead to complacency. We would like to put our pilots into the position to criticize each other by not overstepping their own position.
Right. Yeah. That's very interesting if it comes to my next point, because in fact you work in 2 positions at Lufthansa. Not only are you a senior first officer of, as we heard, the A380, but also you're working in a management position, being assistant to the vice president of operations in Frankfurt. So how does your function as a pilot gives impact to your function as a manager, or what can I, as an ordinary business manager, learn from you, learn from what you deal with in the cockpit?
Good question. First of all, a quick decision making. Quick decision making. And the topic responsibility. In the cockpit, it's always clear who is responsible for what and who is responsible if things go wrong. Yeah. Transparency is a good point. And maybe you should go and take part in a simulator training from time to time.
Right. I would love to do that. And I think, in fact, one should do like as a management simulator once in a while to retest your skills and to see how it works. But also, I think transparency is very important in your job, because as the flight recorder and everything in the cockpit and also the station on the ground, they record pretty much everything what happens up in the air. Absolutely. And this is always like the cooperation between the pilots and their human decisions and what happens on the ground and what is recorded. So sometimes maybe in the clouds you see some unexpected happenings, and then you have to, the system and you as a person have to co-work, and that's quite interesting.
But what I would like to mention is mistakes are there to learn from and not to be punished for. What we have in the Lufthansa airplane is a FODA system. It's a system which records everything, every flight data during the whole flight, and transfer it to the flight safety department. And this is a point where we can see weak points of what the pilot had to train further in the simulators. So it's like share your experience. Yeah, it's
Right. But also sometimes threats can arise where you would expected them. So referring to the tragic crash of MH17 over East Ukraine. No one had foreseen this this crash. How does this affect you as a pilot, and what do we learn from this?
I share the shock and sadness of many people all over the world. This was a terrible accident, and Lufthansa has reacted immediately by changing the routing. And it goes without saying that the safety of our passengers and crews has the top priority and the highest priority and the highest concern. Lufthansa is in very continuous and close contact to the accountable authorities to evaluate and assess the situation, and is in the situation to adjust the routings.
Yeah, and I think, of course, in the future it will lead to discussion about regions to surpass, regions of crisis where you should go differently, right? Yeah. So let us hope for better recommendations and finally for more peace.
For all of us, yes.
At the last DLD Women, we were talking a lot about the image we have about the boss, the CEO, the founder, the doctor, and especially the pilot, yeah? And we always imagine instantly like a male person. Now here you are, like a really role model and being beautiful in your gorgeous uniform. I think it's now we have here the role model that we were wishing for 4 conferences. Like, where is a female pilot in this great uniform? So that gives maybe some inspiration for the younger women. But how comes that you're only one out of 5% of female Lufthansa pilots?
Well, you know, when I was a young girl and I wanted to become a pilot, I met one day an old captain with grey hair. It was not the Lufthansa captain, and he said to me, you know what, if God had wanted women to fly, he would have made the sky pink. Well, today, when I depart in Frankfurt and cross a thick cloud layer, I'm now into the position to say to my colleagues, guys, the sky is pink.
Wow.
Yeah. And what I can say, if ever in the world there is a place where you have equal rights of men or women, it's definitely in the Lufthansa cockpit. The job has to be done. It doesn't matter if it's men or women. We do have not only the same uniform, not only the same salary, but we also have the same responsibilities, the same career prospects.
Still, I completely agree, but there's still a few women. I have to re-ask again, there are only few female pilots, so what holds us back?
True, Francesca, absolutely true. To come back to your question, that's very important, yeah. I have the opinion that women lack confidence. And the second point is maybe we don't feel ready to fight hard enough what we really want.
Right, right. Okay, so please go for it.
Go for it.
And I mean, I must also say, like, if being in Lufthansa, there are more and more male stewards as well. So even that is changing, which is good, yeah. Right. You seem like a woman that likes to give herself challenges. Not only do you fly long distance, you also walk long distances. Yeah. So, Kerstin, you were walking from Munich Marienplatz to Piazza di San Marco, Venice, by feet, and I think within 28 days. It's an hilarious distance and a long, long walk. So is this the way you find your balance between sky and rocks?
That's the way I find my balance. And this was a great gift because I did this special hiking tour with my father, 28 days with my father, 600 kilometers and 25,000 meters in altitude difference. It was a gift. It was very special to me. So I'm ultra fan, a long distance fan.
You're an ultra woman, and thank you so much for this inspirational interview.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
I wish one day I will be a passenger and we fly together. And safe journey wherever you go, walk and fly.
Thank you very much, Francesca.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.